In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who came to us in the person of Master Frederick Muhammad, to whom praises are due forever. And we thank him for coming, and we thank him for raising for us the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the exalted Christ, and the eternal leader of the nation of Islam. And we thank both of them for the extension of themselves, their love, their power, and their guidance in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It is in their names that I greet you in the greetings words of peace of Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome to week 4 of what is a curriculum based on Supreme Wisdom lessons. I want to thank all of you who are enrolled, and I want to thank those of you who are enrolled and participating in this course. Inshallah, this week, week 4, will be considered an extension week. So you'll have this week and next week to complete the final project. Praises be to Allah. Now, last week we looked at the word scope, and we looked at it from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad saying that the whole scope of the teachings is astronomy. Viewing Allah, Master Prophet Muhammad, as the center of our curriculum, using that scope and astronomy, we could see ourselves in the roles of educators in the classroom representing a sun, and our students taking on those celestial bodies, being the planets, stars, asteroids, all of these orbiting in our sphere based on how we develop curriculum and innovatively transfer that curriculum to our students in the process of making perfect rulers. Today we look at Master Prophet Muhammad as the core of the knowledge through the supreme wisdom. He is the root knowledge that the curriculum springs from. And so we're going to be using that root knowledge from Master Prophet Muhammad, from the supreme wisdom, in the student enrollment rules of Islam and the actual facts, of course, to build our Muhammad Supreme Wisdom taxonomy. In the Supreme Wisdom, and from the lessons that we get from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the discussions we get from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, it is a curriculum in itself. And of course, the most simplest definition of a curriculum is courses of study. And so when we look at the Supreme Wisdom, we can begin to extract courses of study from that. And as we examine them with a scope, this time using it as a tool, and scope using it as a verb, we could find subjects such as Islamic studies, religious studies, mathematics, language arts, integrated science, social studies and science, arts and culture, self-improvement, and nation-building skills. So we're not at a loss, but we will have to take the time to read each point of the 154 points and see what is inherently coded in the lessons that would translate into a course of study to build our curriculum. With that very same curriculum, the Supreme Wisdom, and what our aim is to make others like the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we can already see through the wisdom of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and how he used that wisdom. He set up that framework for us in point number 9 of what the Muslims want. He said, we want an equal education, but separate schools up to 16 for boys and 18 for girls, on the condition that the girls be sent to women's colleges and universities. We want all black children educated, taught and trained by their own teachers. Under such schooling system, we believe we will make a better nation of people. The United States government should provide free all necessary textbooks and equipment, schools and college buildings. The Muslim teachers shall be left free to teach and train their people in the way of righteousness, decency, and self-respect. So this is the platform for the establishment of an independent education system. So in that system, of course, we will need our own curriculum. With the understanding of the supreme wisdom from Master Fard Muhammad and the framework outlined by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in point number 9, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan takes that and he puts it in an understanding for us. And in doing this, he has rebuilt the Nation of Islam based on his understanding of that wisdom. And he offers to us the following. As an independent private school, we tailor our curriculum and standards to meet the needs of our students. At the core of our curriculum and daily instructions are the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Supreme Wisdom, coupled with academic courses of study. Since Allah God is the author of all life in the universe that we study, He is our starting point in all of our classroom studies, since we are studying His creation. And so our fundamental task is to align with Master Fard Muhammad, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to produce current curriculum that will evolve us to the next level. This week, the objectives that we're going to look at in knowledge, the students will read articles by Mother Taimed Muhammad to identify subjects, contents, and learning experiences for inclusion in the Muhammad Supreme Wisdom taxonomy. Through wisdom, after viewing and taking notes on the 10th system, the brain, again by Mother Tainetta Muhammad, the students will practice the suggested method of internalizing the Supreme Wisdom lessons. And then for our understanding, you will continue to work on the Muhammad Supreme Wisdom taxonomy by adding the student enrollment Rules of Islam questions 1 through 10 for examination, extraction of subjects, content, and learning activities that are suitable for the grade levels and classes that you are currently teaching. So by having participants in this class who are teaching at various grade levels and different bodies of people, grade school, high school, university level, homeschool, adult education, all of these can be tailored through the Supreme Wisdom to develop a curriculum that is God-centered, that is action, result, product-oriented, and ultimately to produce gods. Our key vocabulary for this week: mathematical, matrix, perfect, ruler, 10th, system, brain, circle, sphere, innovative, and learning experiences. These key words, of course, you want to continue to do your general parsing and clearing of the words and using the technology, study technology, for clearing any words that are necessary. And then you want to define these words. And this week, when you're defining the words, as you're looking at different definitions, I'd like for you to look at definitions that closely connect to your purpose of a definition in working with the Supreme Wisdom. For example, we might take the word perfect, and we'll have it as an adjective, and we can use a simple definition, of course, without flaw, clean, sublime, God. But then we want to look at it also from an action standpoint. And we wouldn't say perfect, but we would actually say to perfect. And this is to remove the flaws. And we want that, of course, as part of our definitions, because that's the process that we will be going through as we glean the lessons, develop the taxonomy, implement them in the classroom. It will be to perfect ourselves, to perfect our students, to make them perfect rulers. So we will perfect to make perfect. So you want to use that and kind of play with your words, but you want to delve into them so that you can get the richest meaning that's going to help you as you build your taxonomy. I want to pull out one of those terms as a combined, and that is learning experiences. And again, that's just another language of saying action. It's another language for verbs, another language for hands-on. You're finding it more now in the current curriculum and education articles. And so they are referring to learning experiences, refers to any interaction, course, program, or other experience in which learning takes place, whether it occurs in traditional academic settings, schools, classrooms, or non-traditional settings outside of the school locations, outdoor environments, or whether it includes traditional education. And so this takes us back to what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said about having a school under a tree. You could have a university under the tree as long as you're teaching the universe truth. And of course, the minister, Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, gave us a definition once looking at universe, and as he parsed it, he gave us uni as one and verse as truth, bringing it into one truth, which would make it one God, which is the source of truth. And so again, our curriculum would be God-centered. So every activity that we do, we want to be able to show God in the midst of what our students will be learning. Some of the education, learning, experience, and products that we already can identify in the nation. Of course, the early establishment of our school programs with the Claret Muhammad schools, our Muhammad Universities of Islam, the world as a classroom. We see our young sister there in China studying through the world. It is a classroom. We see the young brothers and sisters at the bottom there, and they're in the garden. That is a classroom. On a bus heading to an experience. That is a classroom. At the United Nations, showing what they have learned, showing their understanding. That is a classroom. Ultimately, you see in the upper right-hand corner, again, under the tree. So these are things that we, with the help of Allah, will be designing and developing through the supreme wisdom, Muhammad's taxonomy. The activities that you will cover this week: number 1, you'll be reading the articles of Mother Tainetta Muhammad. The Cultural Revolution begins. Taking crystals, radio in the head, attuning to the telepathic voice within. In search of the Messiah, the missing note in music may link to the magical world of Chiapas. We will find everything written about ourselves in a book, Our Descent from the Stars to Heaven on Earth, and then viewing the video, The 10th System, the Brain, by Mother Tainetta Muhammad. In reading Mother Tainetta Muhammad's articles and listening and looking at her video, The 10th System, the Brain, we will see a great example, really a sublime example, of a student who was aligned with Master Farad Muhammad, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and as a result, the works that she has produced and shared with us over the years are giving us tools that we can also use to help us as we study and learning how to go back into the lessons to pull out educational experiences for our students. I want to thank Sister Donna Muhammad in Memphis, Tennessee, because we had a discussion this week, and she is currently enrolled, so thank Allah for that. But in our discussion, she was telling me how valuable the Final Call newspaper is for her as a resource. And so I don't want you to overlook that. So I want to thank Sister Donna for bringing that back to me in our sharing. And so as you're working through your activities, go to the Final Call as a number 1 resource, because that is directly aligned with the 3 who are the head of our Muhammad University of Islam. In activity number 2, it's going to ask you to read the Supreme Wisdom lessons this week in the manner that is described in the 10th system, the brain. And Mother Tainetta Muhammad sets up the supreme wisdom for us in a mathematical formula using pi, dividing those 154 points of wisdom into 7 light fields, the color spectrum of the rainbow, the basic, and dividing that such that we end up with 22 points each in those 7 color spectrums. So you'll start with the student enrollment, count up 10 of the points, stop there. That'll be your red section, so you could read that beginning on whatever day of the week you want to start. So if you picked Monday, then Monday you would read the first 22. Tuesday as an orange, you would read the next 22. Wednesday as yellow, you would read the next 2. And you would continue doing that until you have actually accomplished reading it for a week. And if you continue to do that, especially we who want to be educators, it will help us in terms of what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan stated as a requirement for us to be teachers, and that is to be well versed in the lessons. So that well versed is not just the recitation, but it would take us through those 6 levels of learning. It would take us through the remembering, it would take us through the understanding, it would take us through the application, the analyzing, the evaluating, and ultimately creating. So this is a method that you can continue to use long after this course is over, especially if you're in the role of an educator. And then activity 3, again, we're going to continue to work on the Muhammad Supreme Wisdom Curriculum Taxonomy. And as you continue to work on it, again, we're looking at being intentional in finding your subjects. Keeping Mother Tainetta's articles in mind, use her articles as a way to go in and see how she pinpoints different subjects through her writings. How can you take something from Supreme Wisdom, student enrollment, rules of Islam, questions and answers number 1 through 10, and as you pick a subject, how would you connect that? So how would you use that final call as a resource? Who is the original man? Put in original man Farrakhan, and then you find some of the things that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan would have to say about the original man. Is he saying it based in the history classroom? Is it from the science classroom? Is it from the language arts standpoint? So listen, and then you make your evaluation and just decide which class. And of course you can put it in all the classes. And then what kind of learning experiences would you develop? You remember we talked last week about bringing that skunk into the classroom. But if we want to talk about the original man, and where's the original man all over the planet Earth, you see our sisters standing there in China with some of our people. So the whole scope being astronomy, the whole world is ours, the entire universe is ours. So we have all of that to pull from as we start thinking about activities and then verbs and actions to go along with that. So you'll continue to work on your taxonomy in the next week, and I would love for you to send me samples as you're going along. So as we continue, again, this is an extension week, so this will be a short discussion, just giving you hopefully a little motivation to continue your work. Allow yourself to focus on the learning audiences that you're most accustomed with. If you're an MGT captain, or if you teach classes in the MGT class, then think about the lessons you would design in the curriculum set up for women and girls. If you're a brother and you have classes in the FOI, then think about the men that you're working about. You don't have to push yourself out trying to cover everything. We're starting from the beginning. So everything that comes in from each one of you has a place in building the complete tool that all of us will be able to use. So I want to thank you again for your steadfastness in this. You are forerunners. You're the foremost in forging a new educational paradigm through the development of a curriculum based on the Supreme Wisdom lessons. And this is really a great joy. And we pray to Allah for His continued guidance and blessings on us. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to either call me, email me, or text me, and I will do my best to answer your questions or to guide you to where you can find the best answers. So, continued blessings to you. Continue striving. Let us pray for those who are in the paths of the weather phenomenons that are taking place, knowing that it is a part of the curriculum. What brings rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes? We have the answers. We can teach it. We can put it in the form of a taxonomy. We can ultimately put it in the curriculum, making a course of study as we build Muhammad University of Islam. Assalamu alaikum.